So here's something that actually happened this month. A piece of software, an AI agent, working on its own, walked up to a paywall on the internet, and it just paid. No human clicking confirm, no credit card, no login, no API key. It got the price, signed a tiny payment, and a few seconds later, it settled on the XRP Ledger and moved on like it was nothing. And here's the wild part. The thing that made that possible has been sitting dormant in the web's own rulebook for almost 30 years, just waiting for somebody to finally need it. So today, you and I are taking this whole machine apart, from the wallet, through the plumbing, down to the ledger. And by the end, you'll see exactly how an agent pays for something. And honestly, you could build one yourself this afternoon. Let's get into it. Okay, let's rewind, because this starts with a great little piece of internet history. Every time your browser talks to a website, it gets back tiny status codes. You've seen 404, page not found, right? Well, back in 1997, the people who wrote the rules of the web set aside one more, number 402, labeled payment required. The dream was that one day you'd pay for something right there, inside the conversation. Money, built into the web itself. And then, nothing happened. For almost 30 years, that little code just sat in the corner gathering dust, while the internet ran on ads and subscriptions instead. So what finally woke it up? AI agents. An agent can't sign up for an account or type in a card number, and it might make hundreds of tiny purchases an hour. And you might think, why not just use a credit card? Because cards were built for a human buying one $30 thing, not for software spending a tenth of a cent 10,000 times a day. The fees alone would swallow it whole. So last May, Coinbase finally switched 402 on, with an open standard called X402, and suddenly machines had a way to pay that fit how they actually work. And the scale is staggering. McKinsey puts agentic commerce at $3 to $5 trillion worldwide by 2030. Juniper sees it leaping from $8 billion this year to $1.5 trillion. And Gartner figures that by 2028, 90% of business-to-business buying runs through AI agents. So that sleepy little status code might just be the cash register for a whole new economy. Which raises the obvious question: who builds the rails? And that's exactly where Ripple steps in. On June 10th of this year, they answered that question with the XRP Ledger AI Starter Kit. So, what is it, in plain English? It's a starter pack that teaches an AI coding assistant, Claude, Cursor, whatever you use, how to create a wallet, check a balance, and send a real, confirmed payment on the XRP Ledger. So an agent can pay for things by itself, in XRP, or in RLUSD, Ripple's dollar-backed stablecoin. It comes in 4 neat pieces: a doc server, so your AI reads the official manual live while it builds; 2 skills. One runs the wallet and the signing, the other knows how to shape a payment; a tutorial that takes you from zero to a confirmed payment in about 30 minutes; and the X402 integration, brought in by a Ripple partner called T54. But here's the clever bit almost everyone glosses over. Why the XRP Ledger specifically? Picture an agent paying on a typical chain. It hits send, and the transaction just hangs there, pending. Did it go through? Maybe. So now it has to keep checking, keep retrying. The XRP Ledger does something refreshingly different, called deterministic finality. The payment either confirms cleanly or it expires cleanly. There's no maybe in the middle. For an autonomous agent, that's the whole ball game. A clean yes or no in 3 to 5 seconds, and it just moves on. No checking loops, no retry spaghetti. Add near-free fees, a built-in exchange to swap currencies on the fly, and no risky smart contracts to get hacked. And you've got a ledger that feels almost custom-built for machines that spend money. So how does one of these payments actually move? Let me show you. All right, this is my favorite part. Let me pull the whole machine apart so you can watch a single payment travel from the agent through the plumbing down to the ledger. At the top, the AI agent, the buyer. It wants some data, so it asks the server for it, with no payment attached. The server sees there's no money on the table, and here's the magic. Instead of just refusing, it replies with that code, 402, payment required, and slides back a little machine-readable invoice that says exactly what to pay and where. The agent reads it, and down in the wallet layer, it builds the payment and signs it, locally. That matters. The private key never leaves the agent's hands. Then it asks again, this time tucking that signed payment into the request header. And here's the elegant bit that makes this scale. The server selling the data never touches a blockchain at all. It hands the payment to a specialist called the facilitator on the XRP Ledger, the one T54 built. Think of it as a trusted cashier who speaks fluent blockchain so nobody else has to. It does two things. It verifies. Is the signature real? Is the amount right? Has it been used before? Then it settles. It sends the payment to the ledger, waits a few seconds for a clean confirmation, and grabs the receipt, the transaction hash. And a detail I love, that cashier never holds your keys and never signs for you. No middleman sitting on your money. Then the server hands over the data, receipt attached. So notice what never happened. The agent never got an invoice in its inbox, never held an API key. The whole deal happened inside 2 quick web requests. And the only part that even knows what a blockchain is the cashier. So, who else is betting on this? Because Ripple is absolutely not doing this alone. The very same week the starter kit landed, Mastercard launched something called Agent Pay for Machines, a network where AI agents pay each other automatically, and named Ripple as one of more than 30 launch partners, with the XRP Ledger as a settlement layer and RLUSD as the regulated dollar option. And it's not just Mastercard. Last fall, Google built an entire agent payments protocol with 60+ organizations on board, and X402 plugs right into it as the stablecoin rail. The standard itself was born at Coinbase and Cloudflare, and today the backers read like a tech and finance hall of fame. Google, Visa, AWS, Circle, Anthropic, Stripe, Microsoft, Amazon. So what does that tell you? This isn't some crypto side quest. It's becoming neutral, shared infrastructure that the biggest names in the world are building together, all at once. And the momentum is real. X402 has already cleared more than 120 million transactions across 14 blockchains, and it's maturing exactly the way you'd hope. The real dollar and up payments climbed from 49% of the volume to 95% in a single year. So where does the XRP Ledger fit? It's one of the newest chains to join, and honestly, that might be the most exciting part. We're catching this one right at the ground floor. The rails are being laid, the institutions are showing up, and XRPL is stepping in with clean, deterministic finality and a regulated stablecoin, right as the whole thing starts to take off. Which leaves the best question of all. How do you get your own hands on this? So, can you actually build one of these yourself? You can. And this is the part that genuinely delighted me. It's an afternoon project, about 30 minutes, and you barely write any blockchain code at all. Here's the arc. You drop that first skill, the agent wallet, into your AI coding assistant and ask it to create a wallet. Watch how careful it is. It tucks the secret key into a hidden file, never prints it in the chat, and hides it from any code you might share. Safety, baked in from the first second. Then you add the payment skill. Fund a free practice wallet from a faucet. No real money, the whole thing's a sandbox. And ask your agent to send, say, 10 test XRP. It shows you a preview and waits for you to say yes before it signs. And now, here's the moment that probably has you a little nervous. And it's the right thing to be thinking. Am I really going to let software spend money on its own? Here's the answer the kit gives you, and it's a good one. You hand the agent a scoped rule, like auto-sign payments to this one address, under 50 XRP on testnet for the next hour. From then on, it pays on its own, but only inside the fence you drew. Amount, address, network, time, all bounded. That's the grown-up way to let software touch money. And on the seller side, charging for your own API is basically one line of code that returns that 402. So here's your one action item, and it costs you nothing. Go run the official 30-minute tutorial and get your very first confirmed agentic payment on the free XRP Ledger testnet. No money down, no risk, and you'll have personally done the thing the whole industry is racing toward. Developer or just plain curious, that's the move. Go build the smallest possible piece of the future today. So let's bring it all home. For 30 years, the web had a pay here button that nobody ever wired up. And now, almost overnight, AI agents have given it a reason to exist. Ripple's starter kit, T54's facilitator, Mastercard and Google laying down the rails. Every piece points at the same future. A world where software quietly pays for what it uses, instantly, in tiny amounts, with nobody hovering over a confirm button. And here's the beautiful logic underneath it. In a world running on autonomous software, the most valuable thing a payment network can offer is a clean, honest answer. Yes, it went through, or no, it didn't, in seconds, every time. No maybe. And that is exactly what the XRP Ledger was built to do. It's early, and there's enormous room to grow, which means the people paying attention right now will understand this space long before everyone else catches on. The whole thing is open, free to try, and waiting for you. The future of payments isn't asking for permission anymore. It's just asking for the price. If this finally made the agentic economy click for you, do me a quick favor and tap subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. I've put a full written breakdown, every source linked, on the Notion page in the description. And I genuinely love to know, would you trust an AI agent with your wallet? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one.